I'm going to talk about something very few people know about: what it was like to have your period in a concentration camp. Imagine living through one of history's most horrific events, the Holocaust, while enduring a monthly cycle that no one prepares you for. This is not just a period, this is a nightmare. But that's exactly what happened to thousands of women confined within the brutal walls of concentration camps. Their stories are a haunting testament to the strength of the human spirit, survival against all odds, and the resilience of women who defied the darkest chapters of history. Today we delve into this harrowing reality. Join me on this journey as we explore their experiences. This video contains sensitive content. Viewer discretion is advised. When the Nazis took over Poland in 1939, they immediately began segregating Jewish people into ghettos, restricting their movement and basic rights. In 1941, deportations to extermination camps commenced, marking the beginning of the deadliest period in Jewish history. As millions were transported to places like Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor, they faced unimaginable horrors, including mass killings upon arrival. Life in the camps was a horrifying ordeal. Prisoners endured starvation, forced labor, inhumane living conditions, and constant fear of execution or deportation to gas chambers. Overcrowding, starvation, and exposure to elements caused rampant disease. Medical experiments were conducted on prisoners, often without anesthesia or with the intent to cause harm rather than heal. Women suffered sexual abuse at the hands of guards, and some were even subjected to forced pregnancies for the perverse purpose of creating a master race. The horrors of the camps were compounded by the ever-present threat of deportation to the gas chambers. This constant dread permeated every aspect of life in the camps, creating an atmosphere of perpetual fear and uncertainty. For many, the ultimate fate was deportation to the gas chambers, a terrifying process involving being herded into gas-tight chambers and murdered with poisonous gas. Usually Zyklon B, the entire experience from entry into the camp to the final moments in the gas chambers was meticulously orchestrated by the Nazi regime. For women, the system of oppression and violence was multi-layered. They faced the same horrors of forced labor, starvation, and the threat of immediate death that all prisoners endured. However, they also dealt with a specific set of challenges linked to their biological needs and bodily dignity. These experiences were rarely discussed openly, even among survivors, due to the deep shame and trauma associated with them. As we discuss these challenges, please remember that this is not just a historical account. This is a story of real women who endured extraordinary suffering with grace and quiet strength. The first significant challenge was the complete lack of sanitary protection. Menstruation in this context was not just a biological process. It was a painful reminder of a lost world, of childhood, of normalcy. It symbolized everything the Nazis had tried to take away. Each cycle was a new battle against hunger, pain, and humiliation. Deprived of privacy and often crammed into shared barracks with limited access to even basic sanitation facilities, women were forced to manage their periods in full view of others. This lack of privacy turned a natural bodily function into a source of shame and fear. Menstrual products were not provided in the camps, leaving women with no option but to improvise, using rags, pieces of cloth, or whatever they could find. This lack of supplies made managing their cycles nearly impossible, leading to discomfort, infection, and even injury. The second challenge was the lack of proper facilities. Basic sanitation infrastructure, such as private toilets or changing areas, was non-existent in the camps. This forced women to confront their periods in unsanitary and inhumane conditions, exacerbating the physical and psychological toll. The third challenge was the prevailing attitude towards menstruation itself. Even outside the camps, menstruation was often shrouded in secrecy and shame. In many societies, this attitude was deeply ingrained, influenced by religious beliefs and cultural norms. However, in the camps, this taboo was taken to the extreme. Open discussions about menstruation or seeking help and supplies were stigmatized, leaving women isolated and ashamed as they grappled with their cycles in silence. These challenges had severe physical and psychological consequences. The unsanitary conditions, coupled with the use of makeshift menstrual supplies, led to infections and injuries. Managing their cycles in overcrowded and unsanitary environments exposed women to a high risk of bacterial infections, which further weakened their already compromised immune systems. Additionally, the stress and trauma of living in a concentration camp had a profound impact on menstrual cycles. Many women experienced significant changes in their cycles, including heavier bleeding, painful cramps, and irregular periods. This was not only due to the physical stress of their environment, but also the psychological toll of living in a state of constant fear and deprivation. Furthermore, the lack of proper nutrition contributed to the severity of these challenges. Malnutrition weakened women's bodies, making it harder for them to cope with the physical demands of menstruation. The inadequate food rations in the camps led to deficiencies that affected overall health and made managing their cycles even more difficult. Despite these challenges, the women displayed remarkable resilience. They supported each other, sharing what little they had and offering emotional support. Secretly passing down information on hygiene and managing their cycles was an act of defiance against the Nazi regime's attempt to strip them of their humanity. Sharing knowledge and resources, however limited, was a way of maintaining a sense of control and normalcy in an environment that offered little else. In this way, the women formed a network of support and shared strength that helped them endure the unimaginable. However, the Nazi regime's brutality went beyond subjecting women to these harsh conditions. Covert experiments and forced sterilization were also employed as tools of oppression. While records are scarce and often concealed, survivor testimonies suggest a deliberate effort to suppress fertility. Many women reported instances of being given pills or injections that caused irregular bleeding and the absence of menstrual cycles. Covert medical experiments were conducted without the knowledge or consent of the prisoners, often involving the testing of new drugs, sterilization techniques, and other invasive procedures. Female prisoners were subjected to gynecological exams and horrifying experiments, including forced sterilization, which was aimed at reducing the Jewish population and preventing the birth of future generations. The impact of these practices was devastating. A high percentage of women in the camps experienced amenorrhea, the temporary or permanent loss of menstrual cycles. This was not solely due to the stress and malnutrition, but also likely a result of the Nazi regime's deliberate efforts to sterilize prisoners. The long-term reproductive consequences were dire. Survivors faced high rates of miscarriage, stillbirth, and infertility, compounding their trauma and robbing them of the chance to have children after the war. In the aftermath of liberation, many survivors found themselves grappling with the physical and emotional scars of these experiences. The lack of medical understanding at the time meant that many did not receive proper care or treatment for their ailments. Additionally, the societal focus on rebuilding and moving forward often overshadowed the specific needs and trauma of female survivors. The loss of fertility and the profound changes in their bodily identity were rarely acknowledged or discussed, leading to feelings of isolation and a sense of being forgotten. The stories of women in concentration camps during their menstrual cycles are a powerful reminder of the strength and endurance of the human spirit. They managed to survive unimaginable conditions, showing remarkable resilience in the face of adversity. Their experiences serve as a testament to their courage and determination to endure. Despite the physical and emotional toll, they supported each other, sharing what little they had and offering emotional solace. Their acts of kindness and solidarity were beacons of humanity in the darkest of times. Moreover, their stories highlight the importance of acknowledging the unique experiences of women during wartime. The challenges they faced, from the lack of sanitary protection to forced sterilization, were distinct and severe. By sharing their stories, we honor their strength and the silent heroism they displayed. It is crucial to remember and learn from their experiences to ensure that such atrocities are never repeated, and that the voices of these brave women are not silenced any longer. Their resilience in the face of adversity continues to inspire awe, and their stories deserve to be told, heard, and remembered.